home of the Texas Rangers. Greg Lucas here along with Norm Hiskis as we're getting set for the first ever night game in this ballpark, which also, by the way, is the 50th ballpark to have night baseball on the major league level. The Ballpark in Arlington, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Texas Rangers all set to go. And we might mention, too, Norm, not only is this the first night game in the history of the Ballpark in Arlington, the Rangers hope it is their first victory ever. They lost one game to the Brewers opening day. They lost a couple of exhibition games. They'll try to see if they can't get a victory here in this one tonight, Norm. But, you know, one thing about this ballpark, it is beautiful. Everyone's talking about it around baseball. But it has actually already been a factor in the way the game has been played somewhat.
Yeah, this club really doesn't have the typical home field physical advantage here because they're not familiar with this park. They're almost as unfamiliar as the visitors. Bad hops the other night in the Ballpark in Arlington were the rule. Pop flies will get blown around in the wind, and the other day, a ball hit down to that right field corner, got around Rob Ducey, and circled out toward right center. There's going to be some real adventures by outfielders in this park because of the nooks and crannies in the outfield. That one right there, the ball will bounce and kick back toward the corner. The Tom Thumb sign there that you see, when that ball hits, it has a tendency to kick back towards center field. And look at that little corner. We are going to have some embarrassed outfielders at times in this ballpark.
Any exhibition games, the grass was slick, the pitcher's mound wasn't ready. That's been remedied. The infield's still a little hard. It's all going to settle in. Speaking of settling in, how about the Rangers pitching? Tonight, our pitching matchup has Bill Wegman going for Milwaukee against Steve Dreyer for the Rangers. Now, Dreyer was not supposed to start this game, but then what is the Rangers starting five?
Well, there's a good question, Greg. It's Kenny Rogers and it's Kevin Brown, and tonight it's Steve Dreyer in place of Armstrong, whose tendonitis flared up, and he will start on Sunday now. But Pavlik's in Florida trying to get healthy. Cross your fingers. Bruce Hurst is in Florida trying to get healthy. Cross your fingers. Hector Fajardo's in Oklahoma City. Dan Smith's in Florida trying to get healthy. Cross your fingers. Right now, the starting rotation for the Rangers is
cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers.
Bill Wegman missed a lot of games last year, and he's got a lineup that is missing some players in this one tonight.
Yeah, the Brewers don't have Vaughn, Harper, or Surhoff tonight. Wegman, however, looks healthy. If their pitching bounces back to healthy, they're a pretty good club. This seems to be a good time to catch this club with all their injuries, but it sure didn't look like it Monday.
Oh, no. The Ballpark in Arlington opens under the lights next. Texas Rangers baseball on HSE. Brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. For that deep down body thirst, nothing works better than Gatorade. By your local Sherwin-Williams paint stores. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams, an official sponsor of Major League Baseball. By Coors Light, aged ice cold for that taste of the Rockies. Reach for the silver bullet, the right beer now. And by Southwest Airlines, offering frequent flights and low everyday fares, which is why flying Southwest Airlines is just plain smart.
Think you're ready for the new La Quinta Inns?
It was very important for us to have good curb appeal.
Curb appeal. You know, the front door is an incredible, powerful event.
The tile has been washed with almost a whitewash finish.
You know, they did do a good job down there, didn't they? Oh, yeah, I've noticed that. To me, at the end of the workday, I like La Quinta. I've driven 50 miles all the way to go to La Quinta.
The new La Quinta. You're not staying at a hotel. You're staying with us.
What a joy to come in here.
Research has demonstrated that the ergogenic effect of carbohydrates.
No other beverage has been proven more effective than Gatorade.
Consuming Gatorade during exercise has been shown to improve
Absorb 30% faster than water.
Gatorade contains the optimal balance of carbohydrates and water.
No other beverage has been proven more effective at replacing
nothing quenches your deep down body thirst better.
Scientifically tested, athletically proven. Only Gatorade Thirst Quencher is liquid technology.
for that deep down body thirst.
Come on to play!
Well, one thing that doesn't jive here in the ballpark in Arlington are the clocks. We're already underway here. Darrell Hamilton set to take the first pitch, and he takes a strike. Hamilton facing Steve Dreyer. We'll give you the lineups as we have a chance. Hamilton, Seitzer, and Ward, Jaha, Nielsen, Reed, Spires, Listach, and Diaz. Keeping score, we'll give you a better chance to write those down in a moment. And the count now even, 1 ball and 1 strike. They used a digital clock that they superimposed on a couple of the auxiliary scoreboards, and they were running about 3 minutes ahead of the only other clock, the permanent clock in the building, which has not quite reached 7:35 yet. So that's why we have a discrepancy on our times. This is the only official clock. I guess it's not official. The only clock in the building. It has already been knocked a little bit for being too small. It's a long way from home plate. And there's a strike on the corner.
Well, I don't know. San Antonio's not that all that far.
That's about where
that's where it is. The clock, you can see it. It's yeah, it is a bit far.
So that's not what the umpires apparently were using, and this game got underway just a couple minutes early. That ball is looped into the crowd left side, foul. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hamilton 158, no homers and 1 run batted in.
There was a big scare for the Brewers in spring training. This is a 300 hitter that the initial diagnosis said might have to miss the entire season because of a tear in his elbow. But it's slight. He's rehabbed. They're going to have to take care of it. But he's well enough to play.
Hamilton takes it high, and the count goes full right off the bat. Dreyer really needs a good start, not only for the team, but for himself, because there are some pitchers that hope to be back active shortly. Norm touched on a couple of them a moment ago, and Dreyer is certainly one of those pitchers on the bubble if he does not pitch well. Maybe even if he does. There's a strike call, and that's a pretty good start. First batter out. Let's take a look at the starting batting order for the Milwaukee Brewers. This brought to you, of course, by the folks at Southwest Airlines. After Hamilton, it'll be Kevin Seitzer, then Turner Ward, John Jaha, Dave Nilsson, Jody Reed, Bill Spires, Pat Listash, and Alex Diaz. Defensively, Gonzalez, Hulse, and Ducey in the outfield. Palmer, Lee, Strange, and Clark on the infield. Rodriguez is catching. And we've already seen Steve Dreyer do a little bit of work. The hitter is Seitzer. He's hitting .292, 2 homers, 6 RBI.
In spring training, Steve Dreyer made this club because of injuries to others. That's not a knock on Steve. It's just that if Pavlik and Hurst and Smith and Fajardo were well, Steve would be in the regular rotation in Oklahoma City right now.
Big Bender gets a strike.
One of the funny things about Steve Dreyer, in the little amount of time we've gotten to see him last year and this year, Greg, is that he has terrible difficulty with right-hand hitters. Righties hitting .322 against him in his career.
Palmer with a short hop, quick release in the dirt. High, and he's saved by Clark. Clark at first base makes the scoop, and they're 2 outs. Palmer came in quickly and made a nice play, and then he looked like he might have a little trouble getting a grip on the ball, and he was saved by Will.
Well, watch the extra step Dino has to take here. See, there's a little hop step in there, and it makes it a tougher play. The nice thing for Dean was the throw was about 10 feet short, giving Clark a nice big hop.
And Will Clark reminding people that they got a left-handed hitter here. Turner Ward. Turner hitting .304 with no homers and 3 runs batted in.
And with a world champion ring.
That's right. Played with the Blue Jays. He's a switch hitter, of course, batting left-handed against the righty. You know, this is encouraging here. Throwing strikes, because that's what most pitchers have to do, but Steve particularly, because he is not an overpowering pitcher.
Yeah, well, you have to be honest about Steve Dreyer. He does not have plus major league pitches. He's got a decent fastball, decent breaking ball, will change speeds, but he isn't just going to go up there and say, here comes my slider, here comes my fastball. He's got to spot pitches in the strike zone well to succeed.
I think he's talking to himself. Here's the 1-1 toward the gap in left in the air. Gonzalez thinks he's got room and does, makes the catch, and how about that? An easy top of the first. Rangers coming up. We'll check the batting order when we return to the ballpark in Arlington.
Have a blast from the past at Elaine's World Safari, Longview's headquarters for 60s clothing and novelty. Where else can you find lava lamps, strobe lights, tie-dyes, and blacklight posters? Come in and discover the mysteries of the blacklight room. While you're there, enjoy the finest in gourmet coffee and cappuccino at the Coffee Cup. Come, relive the magic of the 60s. Elaine's World Safari, 101 West Marshall at Center Street.
I'm Blake Long at Jack Long Team Marine in Longview. Boating season is here, and we've got the best lineup in East Texas, like Stratus Bass boats, low fishing and pontoon boats, Raycraft, Four Winds pleasure boats, and the all-new Fling. Come see the complete lineup of Bombardier Sea-Doos from 1994. Come ride with the winning team at Jack Long Team Marine in Longview.
Jack Long Team Marine.
Joe's crack some open when you're watching the ball game. The perfect snack from preseason to playoffs. They are the baseball nut.
Hard charging parts, smooth riding parts, big rocking and knocking and locking parts. Western Auto's no stranger to these parts.
Western Auto has over 100,000 parts available when you need them 7 days a week. Serious parts at serious savings. Hey, we know what you want.
Save on Haviland motor oil every day at Western Auto. Haviland adds more life to your car.
Western Auto's no stranger to these parts.
Well, if someone does, it's going to be some folk. That is on the roof of the porch in right field. Kind of a memory of the old days when Abe Stark had a sign out in Ebbets Field, although it was field level. Let's take a look at the Ranger batting order. David Hulse is leading off, followed by Strange, Canseco, and Gonzalez. Clark, Palmer, and Ducey. Then Rodriguez and Lee. It's the lineup the Rangers have been using regularly lately. Last couple of games, they've switched the 3 and 5 hitters. And David Hulse takes it inside. David hitting .304, no homers or RBIs. He has a couple of stolen bases, and of course, Seitzer at third has to play in to watch for the bunt.
This is 31-year-old Bill Wegman on the mound. When he's right, he has a terrific sinker, but oh my goodness, he's got one terrific start under him this year, but last year was a series of miseries for Bill Wegman. He had ulcers, he had a strained forearm, he missed the last half of the season. He did not win after May 30th of last year.
Only had 2 starts after the All-Star break. To the gap in right field side. Reed gets to it, and there's one down. Well, let's take a look now at the defensive alignment for Wegman's team, the Milwaukee Brewers. In the outfield, they've got Ward, Hamilton, and Diaz, with Seitzer, Listak, Reed, and Jaha. And Dave Nielsen, who will always be a member of a trivia question, first man to hit a home run here in this ballpark, is catching Wegman.
This is happy birthday Doug Strange, who turns the big 3-0 today.
Doug hitting .278 with a homer, 3 runs batted in.
Greg, I got a feeling Kevin Kennedy played a hunch with Doug tonight, putting him in the lineup.
I know what you're getting at, because he hasn't seen Wegman a whole lot, but the Rangers' other second baseman has.
Billy Ripken's favorite pitcher to hit in the world is Bill Wegman. Billy's 11 for 17 against him.
Well, how about that? Base hit for Strange to the right side.
If there's one thing Kevin Kennedy and Bobby Valentine have in common, I get a feeling it's play guys on their birthday. Bobby always believed in that.
I don't think the birthday cake's going to wear him down, huh? Well, Strange will be at first base, and the hitter will be Jose Canseco. This was the change made in the last game. The Rangers moved Canseco to the number 3 spot. Clark down to 5, although against some left-handers, they'll go back the other way.
They wanted Clark's situational hitting ability down in the 5 spot.
There's a strike. I think also the second thing was to kind of break up all those right-handed hitters.
Yes. Yeah, because Kevin found himself batting Gonzalez, Canseco, and Palmer and Rodriguez in a row in a lineup, and giving the other team the right to bring a right-handed reliever in to face all 4 of them.
Top foul, left side. Canseco hitting .200 with a homer and 2 runs batted in.
By the way, Jose has done well against Wegman in his lifetime. He is 9 for 33, but 3 of the 9 hits he has off him are homers. By the way, Canseco also just wore Milwaukee out last year before he got hurt. This is the one team that Jose really tortured last year.
Rangers played a really good game on opening day. A couple of defensive miscues, one in fact made by Strange, that hurt. Kenny Rogers' pitching was fine. Of course, they had a couple of clutch situations they couldn't come through, and that also resulted in a 4-3 win, but certainly a far cry from some of the games they're playing on the road, where they were scoring a lot of runs but giving up a lot.
This is a team they have to beat, though. The Brewers, without Harper, Surhoff, and Vaughn in the lineup, are a very anemic baseball team. You can't tell it by their team batting average right now.
No, they're tops in the American League. On the 5th, fouled back into the crowd. And the count hangs at 1-2. There you see the Ballpark in Arlington. Another outstanding crowd here. And of course, as you know, in past years, Aprils and Septembers were usually the least attended, with school a factor, but not this April, not with this brand new ballpark. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Strange at first. There's 1 out on the bottom of the first. Foul ball.
Canseco last year against the Brewers, in 29 at-bats, 15 runs batted in 29 at-bats. He hit .483 against the Brewers last year before landing on the DL.
He's been getting on base. In fact, he drew a bases-loaded walk in the attempted Ranger comeback Monday. The comeback that fell short. And in fact, he's been on base safely by hit or walk in 4 straight games and 5 of the 6 this year, even though he's only hitting .200. Runner goes. Nilsson's throw is high, but right there in time, and that takes care of Strange.
Nilsson had trouble throwing out runners so far this season. He'd nailed only 1 of 6 coming into this game. Strange not really noted as a base-stealing threat. And Nilsson lays it up there high, but Doug's an easy out at second.
He got it there. It wasn't close enough so that the high had any factor at all. He was plenty of room. So Strange is now 1 out of 2 this year. Canseco takes it down. The count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes. That obviously was, well, apparently, I shouldn't say obviously, because you never know when signs are missed, but more than likely was a straight steal, because there were already a couple of strikes on Jose, and you're not going to tie your big power hitters up normally with 2 strikes on a hit and run. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Foul ball. Oof. And look out for that one. Nobody bats cleanup like Juan Gonzalez. He's up next, and nothing cleans up better than Sherwin-Williams ever cleaned. Stains just don't stand a chance. That's fouled back.
You know, Canseco has had a handful of at-bats like this already this season. Elongated at-bats. Now, even if Canseco makes an out here, the nice thing about this at-bat is one of the key hitters in your lineup is seeing everything Wegman has to throw in one series.
That will help him, certainly his next at-bat. Maybe even this one. 3 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Canseco up. No score. Bottom of the first. Foul away again. It's almost one of those examples of how those seats are closer to the field by a few feet than they used to be. That gets over there quick. Ball boys have to be defenders. 6 fouls this at bat for Canseco, so he is at least running the pitch count up, if nothing else.
Got 6 more, and he'll equal that at bat he had in Yankee Stadium last week. Yep, there's 7.
That's 7. That one just about hit him, but it's still full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Last season, though Jose hit just .255 before he was injured, he was ahead of the count. He was an amazing .422. That's one of the highest averages in all of baseball when ahead on the count. 3-2 is not technically ahead, but you're not behind, and he's on.
Terrific at-bat for Canseco. Just an outstanding at-bat. Now, here's a spot where Canseco might run. Normally you'd say, oh, wait a minute, in front of Gonzalez. But Canseco this year wants to run more, and here's a spot to run.
Especially with 2 outs. They'll sometimes go ahead and take the shot with 2 outs. Because while Gonzalez can certainly power the ball out of the park, stolen base and a single is actually a higher percentage play than waiting around for somebody to hit 1 out. Gonzalez hits .267 against Wegman in his career.
You just saw the scores in. What you didn't see was the note that Pedro Martinez has a perfect game for the Expos through 6 innings. He has struck out 7 men, including 5 of the last 6 he's faced.
Not weakening, is he?
No.
While hitting .167 overall this year, and he drives the ball foul into the stands. Came out early. He was out here Oh, before 4 o'clock with extra hitting. His average, as we said, 167, and I think one of the reasons he was hitting extra was to try to get, that's his home run total, by the way, 2 for the year. One of the reasons was to try to, again, keep that shoulder in and not pull off the ball. That's really what happened to him on Monday when he hit into the double play, crucially in the 8th.
Well, and here Wegman goes right to the off-speed against him, which has been getting Juan some already this season.
And he stays away with him and misses, and 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, he's got to show the patience that he demonstrated most of last year, why his average got over 300.
The other day, in that crucial situation, Kiefer went to the outside corner on him and took a little bit off on the outside corner. Wegman, by the way, has a sinker, and he'll vary speeds on it a little bit at times. Wegman does not have the kind of stuff that he can pitch Gonzalez around his power zone. Wegman's got to stay away from him, and if he doesn't, he can get hurt by Gonzalez.
In tight, the count goes 2-2. Another one of those good running counts, perhaps. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Canseco at first.
We may have seen Wegman use 2 pitches now to set up the pitch he wants to get Gonzalez out on. He was 0-2. He wasted hard away, sinker in. Don't be surprised if he comes back off speed away.
Runner goes, pitch is swung on and missed, and he struck him out. And that retires the side, so Juan's slump continues at the last 9 times up. No score after 1, the Rangers and the Brewers.
Because most of our flights are short, this is what our meals look like on Southwest Airlines. It's also what our fares look like. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. Southwest Airlines has one of the best on-time records in the country.
Mr. Smith, you're early.
Just something to remember. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart.
Get it moving. And the silver bullet has the taste to keep it moving. Coors Light. Naturally brewed for a taste that goes down easy. Coors Light. Keep on moving.
I don't have a lot of time to shop around for the lowest prices, so I go to Cheap Auto Parts. They'll match any store's price on any identical item every day.
Amy Jones had just bought her instant lottery ticket when...
I don't know how to play.
Don't worry. Scratchman is here. You take your coin of preference and simply scratch it back and forth like this. Or, if you like me...
Play Texas Tornado for your chance to win up to $500.
Like this?
Sure.
Scratchman, in pursuit of instant winners.
One of the finest golfers of our time, Ben Crenshaw and his lovely wife, sitting right next to the Rangers managing general partner and gubernatorial candidate, George Bush. This is a big place for golfers. Fred Couples was here for the opener. And the best golfer in our booth, Greg Lucas, has the play-by-play as we start the top of the second.
We were to check this booth. I don't think that's right. John Jaha, the first baseman, leads off. He's hit a couple homers with 6 runs batted in, 300 batting average as we start the second. Milwaukee retired 1-2-3 in the opening frame, and in the Loge level seats.
Have you ever thought of the history that Steve Dreyer has wandered into in his brief career?
Oh, sure. Who threw Nolan Ryan's last pitch? Wasn't Nolan Ryan.
No.
There he is. He threw the 4th ball to a hitter that was charged to Ryan after he hurt his elbow. That's fouled to the left side. Palmer gauging it and won't have room.
Steve Dreyer was the person who relieved Nolan Ryan in Ryan's last ever major league start, who made the last start at Old Arlington Stadium.
That's right.
Steve Dreyer, who makes the first start of the first night game at the Ballpark in Arlington. You know, normally, those are sort of heart of the rotation types that get to do things like that.
Well, trying to make a name for himself. Last year he was 3-3 with the Rangers and pitched well in the other ballpark. That was where he had his best success. I think his earned run average was in the threes there. On the road, he did not do so well.
Yeah, one of the few people going to be sorry to see the wrecking ball tear the old place down.
1-2 pitch, ripped to left field for a base hit as Jaha leads off the second inning with a knock. First hit given up by Dreyer. Now, Dave Nilsson will be up. Nilsson, the catcher, the Australian, hit the first ever home run in Arlington Stadium and had some thoughts about it before the game when he chatted with our reporters.
Well, at the time, hitting the home run wasn't really that special, but now I've got to sit back and hear all the people speak. It's good to know that I'm going to go down in the history of baseball somewhere.
Well, maybe more places than that. He's already down in the history of Australian baseball. Big, popular player from there. 346, 2 homers, and 4 runs batted in. Was a superb hitter in his minor league career. Now he's the catcher of the Brewers.
In fact, he was late reporting to spring training because he was home with his hometown Brisbane Bandits beating the Sydney Blues for their second consecutive Australian Baseball League Championship Series.
Well, by the way, speaking of colors,
yes,
if you've seen the Brewers in years past, that is green. Your TV does not need to be adjusted. They have also changed some of their uniform colors. Dreyer can't get to it. Strange scoop, fires, makes the play. Doug Strange, superb glove hand flip.
That is the third one of those in 2 days for Doug Strange, who made 2 terrific plays just like that on Monday. And this is bang, bang. Nilsson's very slow, and that's the one thing that keeps this from being a base hit. Strange has no other option but to do that.
You got to have a loose, floppy glove to be able to pull that off and not get it stuck. And Doug makes the play. Moving into second base, Jaha in scoring position now for Jody Reed. Jody, let's just say he and his agent made a wrong decision, but he's certainly not letting him bother his play early on, hitting .421. No homers and 5 runs batted in. He could have still been a Dodger at a lot more money than he is a Brewer.
Yeah, reportedly offered 3 years, $8 million. He settles for a 1-year unguaranteed for $300,000, $400,000 with the Brewers. Jody's agent badly misjudged the marketplace, and then all of a sudden, money dried up on Jody. Tell you what, this is a wonderful pickup for the Brewers.
Oh, he's a good player. Dodgers were looking for a little more speed in the lineup and did that, made the acquisition for the speed, but Jody would have been their first choice. Actually, in a way, it's kind of like the Palmeiro situation. He would have been their first choice if they'd signed him. They couldn't. They went out and got a second baseman.
Tell you what, the Brewers are one of those small market teams that don't have much money, but they did a dynamite job of shopping in the offseason with very, very little money.
That's what you got to do. You got to be very creative if you're in.
Well, Greg, we're not talking about great players, but Jody Reed is not going to embarrass you, and Brian Harper is not going to embarrass you, and Kevin Seitzer is not going to embarrass you. And Bob Scanlon, who pitched the other day out of bullpen, hey, he's a major league pitcher. He may not be a great pitcher, but he'll do you a decent job of the bullpen. They got them all very cheaply.
Bill Garner's job to hold them together. There's a strike call. Reed, of course, broke in with the Red Sox as a shortstop, then went over to second base, and finally, actually, he was drafted twice. A lot of people don't know this, but he was twice drafted by the Rangers, but didn't sign. Rangers organization liked him when he was in high school and junior college. 3 balls and a strike. Chop the left side. Palmer cuts it off. Long throw, gets him. And holding at second base is Jaha.
As the left-hand hitting Bill Spires steps in as the DH. What do you think about the new uniforms for the Brewers?
Well, obviously they changed their color, main color, as did the Rangers. They've still got a blue, but now with the green in it. Remember, they used to have that royal blue. Now it's more of a navy blue and the green.
But remember those sort of weird light blue road uniforms?
Well, I like the main uniform color.
Yeah.
The other colors have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not so, you know, they got rid of that neat logo, the M and the B and the baseball, and they've got a nice logo, but I'm not sure if they needed to change logos. That pitch is up.
The logo was good, but thank heavens that sort of sort of strange blue went away. Their uniforms are
that logo is kind of hard to figure out what it is unless you're really up close looking at it.
Yeah.
But
looks like sort of one of those medieval crests or something.
1 ball and no strikes. Spires 500 in limited play, a couple RBIs, and he takes a strike. He's another one of the many infielders that have been with the Brewers that have had to battle problems. Shoulder surgery off-season, bone spur in 90, off-season back surgery in 91. He missed all but 12 games in 92. He just had that kind of a career.
Well, quite frankly, I think the Brewers thought his career was over coming into this season. I think a lot of people didn't think Billy would make this club this year. And he's fought back. He's healthy. And, of course, Doran and Dickie Thon went away in the offseason, and that opened some spots.
Swing and a miss. And, of course, we've got to mention Mr. Brewer, who retired, Robin Yount, at the between seasons. Robin pretty much could have come back, but he wasn't guaranteed to be a regular, the way it boiled down to, and he decided to bow out on top. 1 ball and 2 strikes. While the Brewers would never admit this because of their financial situation, they're probably also very glad he retired. That ball is sliced into the crowd.
Let's take a look, in fact, Greg, at the roster changes that the Brewers have undergone over the winter. Remember now, this is a team without much money. Besides Yount, who's gone away, Thon and Doran went away, and some pitching went away. But this is a club that didn't have the money to shop.
Count on Spires is 1 ball and 2 strikes. There are 2 outs. The runner at second is John Jaha. There's no score. Top of the second. First night game ever from the ballpark in Arlington. Two balls and 2 strikes. And I'll tell you what, I think we can tell from our center field camera when you see the shot from center field how much more light there is in this ballpark than there was in Arlington Stadium. Remember how dark and shadowy the pitchers you sometimes look?
And in the alleys, people hid from the law in the alleys.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
By the way, the lights are also high enough here not to be a light problem for outfielders.
Right. Slap back to the left side, just missing the crowd.
Here's what's come to the Brewers in the offseason. With some rather low money shopping Harper, Ward, Reed, ex-Ranger Bronke, and Scanlon. And I guess we have to say hello again to Teddy Higuera, who's been gone since the Reagan administration. Those are the people back on Garner's roster this year. That is a big Greg Vaughn, the slugger, who's out now with a muscle pull next to Garner in the Milwaukee dugout.
2 balls and 2 strikes. There are 2 outs here in the second. Rangers and the Brewers. No score. Spires, just missed that one. Just a little low. Full count.
Here's what's gone away from the Brewers. Besides the retired Yount, Kevin Reimer, Thon and Doran, and a pitcher named Rafael Novoa, who's headed to the National League. This club had no money to shop in the offseason, so they basically had to hope their injured players recovered and the cheap players they signed produced.
And of course, Reimer is now in Japan. Former Ranger. There's a swing and a miss, and that's the second strikeout for Dreyer. He gets through the second with a hit, 1 runner left on base. Bottom of the second coming. We'll take a look at Clark, Palmer, and Ducey. No score.
Here are 3 premium flat latex wall paints and new Everclean, only from Sherwin-Williams, a paint that really holds up against stains. We'll take tough stains like grease, red wine, tea, grape juice, coffee, mustard, and let them set overnight. Everclean is a flat latex wall paint with a non-porous finish, so it cleans off easily. Stains don't stand a chance with new Everclean.
When you need an auto part, you don't need to search high and low.
It would start, run a little, then stop.
I've seen this 1,000 times in these Chevy pickups.
Boss said, go to high-low and get a fuel pump. We figured about $50 to fix it.
I told him to try this $2 fuel filter first.
It worked. I was a hero that day.
He could get an auto part anywhere. What he needed was high-low.
You think this is a crash? That's not a crash. You want a crash? We'll give you a crash. Introducing Upper Deck's Crash the Card Sweepstakes. The grand prize winner will meet Ken Griffey and appear on his 95 baseball card. Just look for info on this and over 1 million other prizes on packages of Upper Deck's new Collector's Choice baseball cards. Many will enter, few will win.
You're watching HSE, the best team on TV.
Bottom of the second inning, the Rangers will have Will Clark, Dean Palmer, and Rob Ducey facing Bill Wegman. No score here in the second. Clark 278 with a homer and 8 RBIs. He has the first Ranger home run in regular play in the ballpark in Arlington. Hit that into the bullpen on opening day.
The architect of this place, David Schwartz, said there was a reason he didn't extend the home run porch all the way to meet the stands in right field, which we'll show you in just a second here. A lot of people ask, well, why didn't you extend the roof all the way over to the stands there and close that out? David Schwartz said there was a reason for it. That leaving that little space he thought gave someone a chance to hit the ball all the way out of the ballpark some night.
Well, he got a better chance there than hitting the 501-foot hit a suit sign.
Yeah.
These guys will be involved in it if it ever would go that way. That's where it's got to go. But right down the line, that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
That ball is ripped into right field for a base hit. And Clark has the Rangers' second hit, leading off the second.
Just to update you, Greg, Pedro Martinez's perfect game has now gone through 7 innings against Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's one of the hot teams in baseball, the Reds. In fact, as far as their owner's concerned, they've won all the games that count. Marge Schott didn't count that Sunday night game because it was interfering with the regular gala opening day the next day. That's the only game the Reds have lost.
She was upset also the city didn't give him a parade.
Here's Dean Palmer now. There's a strike. Now, one thing you can be pretty certain you aren't going to see much unless it's a true element of surprise is anything with Clark at first. He does not run at all.
Palmer has worn out Wegman in his career. Palmer against Wegman is 6 for 14, and 3 of the 6 are homers.
Slap. Foul.
Well, which way is it, ump?
Third base umpire holds his hands up. Foul. And I'll tell you what, that, by the way, is Greg Kosk, and I would love to have a camera right down over the top of the bag on that one.
Well, the key here is that the ball did not hit in front of the bag. Thus, it's got to land fair beyond the bag. And Kosk, I'll tell you what, he had about as good a view as you're ever going to get of that ball.
Yeah, he was right on it.
But he didn't. Usually, umpires will hold their hands off and then go either foul or fair with the signal. He never did.
Should be 2. Listash to Reed. To flip to first, it is a double play. While we wait for Rob Ducey to come up, a reminder that tonight's game is being brought to you by the Dallas Morning News, where Rangers fans go after the game for in-depth coverage of Major League Baseball. And by Sherwin-Williams Everclean. Stains don't stand a chance. Ducey still looking for his first hit. And he won't get it here. Is this going to be an easy inning for Wegman? A base hit, a double play, and another ground ball. We've played 2. There is no score. The Rangers and the Brewers.
What time is it?
Time for NBA action. A high-flying hoop show that's on top of the game. You get it all.
Here's Isaiah.
The hottest players and teams. Your favorite personality. And the greatest plays of the week. All this and more coming your way in NBA action.
Tuesday nights at 6:30 on HSE.
This is our new Kodak digital laser color edge color copier. It will make transparency, It will enlarge photographs. It will reduce photographs.
You can make multiple images of one photograph.
If you want an extra copy of your grandchildren,
Makes copies of charts and graphs.
digitizes the image, puts it on the paper just almost distortion-free, and you walk away with a good copy.
Pick up and delivery to your office from Quick Copy in downtown Longview.
I'm Ben Hitt at Jack Longtine Nissan in Longview. Once again, last month was the best in the 60-year history of the dealership. Now take advantage of our Freedom Plan. Freedom from high payments and long term. A 1994 Nissan Maxima GXE, only $279 per month. Nissan Pathfinder XE, only $269 per month. The Nissan Altima GXE, just $249 per month. The Nissan Hardbody Truck XE, $199 per month. The Nissan Sentra XE, $189 per month. And all terms are only 36 months.
To the top of the third inning, the bottom two and the top of the Milwaukee order coming up, but don't be fooled by that bottom two stuff, because Pat Listash is leading off, and he's number 2 in the American League in hitting right now, 474. More fans on hand. Some of the folks down the front row got to be alert. In fact, let's take a look at the Sherwin-Williams batting leaders. How about that? Surprise, surprise. Wade Boggs leading. He's getting it back together. Then Davis of California after Listash. McGuire of Oakland, he stays together. That'll help a lot. And Javier of Oakland as well.
But Oakland faced the Minnesota pitching staff.
That's true.
That'll level off.
Good, that's true.
Twins are really having a lot of trouble with their pitching. They won today, holding Seattle to 6.
Well, that's all it took. Listash coming off-season knee surgery. In fact, didn't play in the opening game because it was bad weather. But, boy, he's been playing since. That's slashed away.
Greg, from the Department of Please Explain Baseball to Me, Pedro Martinez has a perfect game tonight for Montreal in the 8th inning. With 1 out on an 0-2 pitch, he hits Reggie Sanders. Oh, man! Ends his perfect game. Sanders charges the mound. What? Sanders figures he was throwing at him with a perfect game? Oh, my goodness. Some people wear their IQ on their jersey. Good heavens. And, Greg, it wasn't just he started out. It was a bench-clearing brawl that started.
Well, maybe he was just trying to fire up his team. He figured this was our excuse.
Oh,
we got to get fired up here. We're getting no hit. No balls and 2 strikes to Listash. That one's a little bit low. Now let me talk about something that we'll talk about throughout the year. They keep statistics on behind the count and ahead of the count, how important it is. Listash, for instance, in his career, well, let's say last year, when he was behind in the count as he is now, 164. When he had 2 strikes, 168 when he put the ball in play. And the same goes with pitchers. The pitcher is better, the hitter is worse. That's why it's so important. It's not just words. Should be an out. Palmer at third.
That is exactly the throwing form that Perry Hill and Claude Osteen want from Dean Palmer. On plays where he has any time at all, they want Palmer to get upright and come over the top with the ball. Dino's had a tendency to drop down and sort of sling the ball to first base, causing the ball to have bad movement on it. And that throw is exactly what Perry Hill on the right there, Jackie Moore on the left, want from Dean Palmer.
He will range well to his left and be, in those situations, almost forced to come down from the side. You're right, he developed into a habit of throwing everything that way. Here's Diaz, the right fielder, 222, no homers, 5 runs batted in.
And again, Diaz would not be in the lineup if Vaughn and Surhoff were healthy. Diaz and Ward would be on the bench tonight.
Diaz has had some good memories and some bad ones against the Rangers. He had his first major league hit in 1992 versus Bobby Witt and Texas, and then last year versus Texas at the old stadium suffered an avulsion fracture to his left ankle when he hit the wall and wasn't back until August. That one's high. 2 balls and a strike. So last year his record is rather inconclusive. He hit 319, but 1 RBI, only 69 at bats. Born in Brooklyn, grew up in both New York and Puerto Rico. That's slapped into the crowd.
Greg Vaughn is not in the lineup tonight for the Brewers, and when he's out of the lineup, one monster bat is out of there. Last year, Vaughn had 28 doubles, 30 homers, 97 runs batted in, and 89 walks. That is an enormous hole in a lineup that doesn't have much strength in it to begin with. But not long. Not long. A few more days and the ribcage muscle will be better.
And a foul tip not held. His count still 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, Dreyer seems to have a pretty good sinker right now, too. He's had a couple strikeouts which looked like they were on sinkers, and that one I'm sure that was fouled straight down.
Well, Greg, to be honest about Steve Dreyer, he's sort of pitching for his spot on the roster, isn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an important start for the Rangers, but more so for him.
Especially after the way he looked in New York the other day. He did not look good in New York, and Kevin was unhappy with.
For those of you who live in a fast-paced, gotta-get-there-now world, this is how many daily flights the company plane has from Dallas Love Field to Houston. For those of you who live in a take-your-time and just-let-things-happen world, this is how many. And no matter what kind of world you live in, you can take a friend along free. Southwest Airlines, it's like having your own company plane.
What would you do with a Motorola pager?
Never miss a meeting.
What would you do?
Mom's at home. Pager.
What about you?
All right, you got the pager number, right?
We're going out.
Cool, this works.
What would you do? You could go anywhere, do anything, and still keep in touch with the people you want to keep in touch with. So what are you waiting for? Get the pager. It's affordable, it's portable from Motorola.
There's a place where we all come together to sell our goods, marry our children, mourn our dead, to reveal our villains and heroes. It's the place we all share. It's the story of all of us. The Dallas Morning News.
Pick up the story of all of us.
When I'm working on my car, I go straight to the parts professionals at Chief. They're trained and certified in almost every major area of car maintenance to give me the help I need.
As Claude Elstein keeps the chart, you see Kevin Kennedy. He went down and sat on the bench and for a while was rather glumly looking forward, and it came to mind that it was the picture of a manager perhaps second-guessing himself in the last half inning, maybe not putting Hulse in motion somewhere in there to stay out of the double play and get a run out of it, especially as much as we know he likes to run.
Yeah, he took some sunflower seeds out, flipped them, and said, nuts.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But let's give a little credit to Wegman. He made a super play because that could have, with most pitchers, that's a base hit up the middle.
Oh, and that ball was right at the opening in the infield. There's no way the shortstop or second baseman gets that ball. The Rangers are in a big inning if Wegman doesn't make that stab.
Seitzer leads it off in the 4th. He bounced out to Palmer at third base in the 1st inning. No score. The Brewers coming in at 4-2, and the Rangers 2-4. Early on in the 1994 season.
The Brewers leading the American League in team batting average, 302. Brewers leading the American League in team ERA, 2.67. The Brewers leading the American League in the toughest staff to hit.
So how come they lost twice?
Beats me. I think Phil Garner should be blamed.
There's a strike. 2 balls and a strike to Seitzer.
Well, Greg, with the vagaries of baseball, last night, Boston beat Kansas City 22-11. Tonight, it's 1-0 in the 6th.
Beauty of the game. You change those guys in the center, and everything changes.
That's true.
Clark at first will flip to Dreyer. 1 down. Let's take a look at the Sherwin-Williams standings early on. Brought to you by Sherwin-Williams in the West. That's the Rangers division. They're just a game and a half behind California and a game behind Oakland, with Seattle having a slow start, but they've won 2 in a row. In the Central, Milwaukee trailing by a half game to those Cleveland Indians, with Chicago, Minnesota, Kansas City, the other 3 in the American League Central. Then in the East, Toronto on top by half game over Boston. That's going to be a good race, but they're going to have a lot of games won in that division.
There's a chance the team that finishes last in that division is over 500.
especially because there is the balanced schedule. Everyone's playing everybody the same number of times, which really, when you stop and think about it, when you have a wild card situation, that's the only way you can do it to make it fair. 1 ball, no strikes, and the pitch is a strike called to Turner Ward, who flied to left his first time.
By the way, that fly ball to left makes Turner Ward a rare duck in this game. Wegman's gotten 9 outs, Dreyer's gotten 10 outs, and Ward and Hamilton are the only people in this game who flied out in the game.
Yeah, Dreyer has 5 ground outs and 3 strikeouts. He has been, let's see, he's had a strikeout, 1 strikeout in every inning. And he's given up just the 1 hit, the single to Jaha in the second. 2 balls and a strike. That one narrowly missed, and it's 3-1. First real good hitting count now for a Brewer. Turner Ward broke in 1990 with the Blue Jays. Claimed on waivers by Milwaukee last November. And that one narrowly misses, and the first walk given up by Steve.
The next 2 guys in the Brewers lineup, Greg, I think hold the key to whether this team is competitive or not. Jaha and Nielsen. They're both products of their farm system. Both put up enough numbers in the minor leagues to suggest they're ready for a shot at big league pitching. Neither one particularly impressed last year, but the Brewers have some patience with these 2, and they hope they'll develop.
Something else they have in common. Because you know about Nielsen, but Jaha too has played ball in Australia.
Really?
Yeah, he played some winter ball there. There's a shot toward the left side, base hit. His second base hit, almost in exactly the same spot. So they may have to change the pattern on him just a little bit. And runners at first and second with only 1 out.
Last year, the Brewers, I think, were about to give up on John Jaha. He hit .221 in June. He was struggling, and Garner stuck with him and stuck with him. And then look at what Jaha did. .270 July, .287 August, 300 September to bring him up to .264.
And 19 big ones, 19 home runs, and that's what they wanted to see, because he had some big power in the minors. And now, as Pudge has some signs to flash out to his infield and to his pitcher, we'll take a look at Nielsen.
Well, Greg, he had only 5 homers on the 1st of August, which tells you how he finished. He had 14 homers the last 2 months of the season.
Nielsen, left-handed hitter, tried some switch hitting in the minors. And, of course, had some good years. In fact, 91, he played at El Paso, and .418 in 66 games. That's fouled back into the loads to the left.
The no-hit bid of Pedro Martinez of Montreal is over. Brian Dorsett, or is it Dorsett?
Ask Tony.
Singled for Cincinnati leading off the 9th. And John Wetland has come in relief to try to save it for him for Montreal.
Now remember, that's mechanical. That's why it only says the 7th out there. I don't know how many people they have work, except I see a few people's heads that are kind of watching the game, and we know they're a couple innings behind. There's the foul. I see him looking out the window there. They must have a schedule. There's some innings are a little behind, guys.
You know, Nielsen was a little disappointing too, but Greg, he wasn't disappointing in this situation last year.
Very good with less than 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and he has one of those. He has a runner at second base, 333. That's a clutch man. That's a guy who concentrates. Right now there's no score in the game in the 4th. 1 out, runners at first and second. Went reaching there, and he's probably lucky he didn't tap into a double play on that pitch, because he didn't get a real good cut. 0-2, and now, once again, Dreyer's at least in the spot he wants to be in, well ahead on the count. Runner at second base is Turner Ward, and Jaha is over at first. Rangers playing for a double play with Strange in lead. That's what they want, another ground ball, but the pitch is up and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You don't think of Milwaukee as an international city, but Nilsson and Grain Lloyd are from Australia. Jeff Franke, the former Ranger born in Afghanistan. Jose Mercedes on this club is Dominican. Teddy Higuera is Mexican. Ricky Bonas, Angel Miranda, Jamie Navarro, and Jose Valentin are Puerto Rican.
Swing and a miss on a good fastball away. And Steve Dreyer showing something here with his 4th strikeout, 2 outs now.
You know,
face Reed.
Greg, this is the 2nd or 3rd hitter that Dreyer's fastball has.
Yeah, I'd like to get a clock on his fastball because it looks faster than I remember it being the last time I saw him pitch, which was in New York.
Well, remember we talked in the exhibition game we did about Dreyer a little bit, and in New York about the fact that Kennedy and Claude Osteen were pretty happy that Dreyer in the offseason put on about 10 pounds. He was a skinny youngster last year, and he's filled out a little bit, and the Rangers feel eventually will mean a little more power in his pitches.
Jody Reed bounced out to third baseman Palmer his first time up. He's up now with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Pitch just misses inside. 1 ball and no strikes.
Jody Reed's hitting .400. So much for the necessity of spring training. Jody, because of tendonitis, played a grand total of 2 exhibition games.
Yeah, and I think I think Monday was the first game that he was actually in the field, wasn't it? I think he'd been using as a DH. 2 balls, no strikes.
Now the Rangers play Jody way, way off the left field line. And if you remember Jody Reed in Boston, he loved to jerk the ball down the left field line and off the wall. He got a lot of doubles that way. It's up to Dreyer to keep him from being able to get a pitch to hit in that area.
Pressure's on the pitcher a little here. Now it's 2 balls and 1 strike as he got a good one around the knees. And it is 2 balls and a strike. One thing you will enjoy here at the ballpark in Arlington, all the batting averages are updated with each at-bat in the center field area above the scoreboard. They'll have some game information on one of the auxiliary scoreboards in left field regarding the other game, pitching changes and so on. 3 balls and a strike. The lineups that are listed above the home run porch will have a little triangle or a triangle shape underneath the present hitter or the next hitter that's due up. There you see, like the Rangers' next hitter, the Brewers' number 8 is up now, and number 33 Canseco will be leading off the next half inning.
Yeah, that helps you keep track of exactly where the teams are in their lineup.
And when you're going to go to the concession stand, I suppose, too. And Reed walks to load him up. That's the 2nd walk now for Dreyer in this inning, and Spires will be the hitter. He struck him out the first time. Now, you don't like to walk people. You don't want to load the bases, but at the same time, assuming you get the next guy, that's not the worst thing in the world, simply because he was pitching from behind in the count. Osteen going to check, because they don't really know how long Steve is going to be able to go. He didn't pitch a whole lot of innings at one stretch in the spring.
This is also Kennedy saying to Claude, go out and talk, because I think the Rangers want to quickly get somebody up in their bullpen. You're very right, Greg, in that the Rangers don't have a feel for how far Dreyer goes in this game. And with the way Wegman's throwing, you've got to be alert to the fact that if the Brewers start putting runs on the board, you may not have a lot of time. That's Doug Witt, the backup catcher right there, getting ready. He'll come out and catch whoever's going to warm up. But Greg, don't you get the same feeling that this move is partly out of respect for the way Wegman's throwing?
Yeah, I think it is. Also, Steve, this is the only inning he's shown any chinks in his armor, and that is the fact that he's lost a little bit of his precise control.
And as yet, the Ranger pitcher still isn't up and throwing in the bullpen. This is not exactly a scramble and get ready situation. Here he comes.
Might be
James Hurst.
Hurst, I'm sorry. The left is out. I'm sorry, James Hurst, the lefty.
Of course, in this ballpark, you can be a ways away from the bullpen.
So Bill Spires with the bases loaded takes the first pitch high, 1 ball.
with Dreyer, you wanted him ahead in the count.
Yeah, especially Spires last year when he batted a few times he did with the bases loaded, hit a pretty good 385. So he's a tough out in this situation. One ball and no strikes. Oh, took a little off, changed up on him, and he got the count even 1-1.
Well, that took some nerve right there with the bases loaded to go change up to Spires.
Runner at third is Ward. Jaha is at second base, and Reed is over at first. Overall last year with runners in scoring position, 242 for Spires. That was right about his season average. Look out, not close, no challenge for the hitter there.
Who I bet you if Billy had that to do all over again, he'd turn a hip into that one. He'd say, I believe I'll take one on the right hip. Thank you very much for a run.
Dryer's up to 71 pitches. So he's thrown a few, even though it's only the fourth. And mostly this inning. His first couple innings were pretty easy. 2 balls and a strike. Low, 3-1.
What do you do here if you're Bill Spires?
I'm going to, if I'm Bill Spires, not a big power guy, take it.
Me too. Me too. Unless I get a ball exactly where I want it. I say to myself, I want the ball belt high, I want it on the inner half, I want a fastball. If you zone in, guess the pitch correctly. Otherwise, he's got a youngster on the ropes, and a non-power guy, you probably let him twist a little bit.
Yeah, and you got a real hot hitter on deck, Listash. Took a strike. Good pitch there. He would have probably taken that one even if he was thinking of swinging. That was a good pitch. Full count, 3-2. Now the runners are off with this pitch, which makes an extra base hit a 3-run hit.
Even a long single, it makes a 3-run hit. Because though Reed doesn't have terrific speed, with the running start, if a ball's lined toward an alley, it's probably a try to score Jody situation.
Tom Stovley points out that all 3 Brewers have gone 3-2 so far, have struck out. Will it be 4? Nope, but a ground ball to second. They're going to get out of it. Strange makes the play, and that retires the side. The Ranger fans give Dreyer a hand. He works out of a jam. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. It'll be Canseco, Gonzalez, and Clark still scoreless.
It's a test of nerves.